Welcome back. This is Adventures with Dr. Joe. Please consider subscribing. There'll be a link down here at the corner. You just click that button. Comments are very welcome and always responded to. Today we're going to discuss a simple thing but a very important thing, the push block. It's evolved dramatically over the last 20 years, and I'd like to share with you the stepwise progression that's brought us to what I believe is kind of the ultimate push block that's actually made by Milescraft. So let's look at the uses of the push block, and let's take a look at the sequential improvements that have been made over time and why you might consider one over the other. This is the first set of push blocks that I purchased. They have a nice ergonomic handle. They're angled so you can push and be away from the cutting blade. And it has a nice gripping pad, but it's small and it's actually not that grippy, and over time it's become very slick and it's not very useful. These evolved into a similar push block that has a little bit even better handle. You can put your hand here and grip that, and again the handle's offset so that the cutting blade is over here. You're further away from that, and you can stay away and protect yourself. Also a better rubber surface, a better grippy surface. But what's evolved with this is that they've gotten larger because we noticed that a larger gripping surface was much better for wood. And this one by Edgewood, I bought a set of these, and these served me very well for quite a while. You can see it's seen some use. And again, an angled ergonomic handle that kind of keeps you again away from that cutting blade. So these have evolved to what I considered at one time, these were like the best. These were bench dog. These are still very nice, readily available. They've got an over molded grip, much larger, easy to grip. Some of this surface, that the gripping surface, that spongy rubber foamy grip surface can tear out, unfortunately, as you can see here with use. But these have worked very well, and I still like these quite a bit. Over time, Microjig, a very well-known manufacturer of excellent products, came up with their push block known as the Grip Block. Again, an angled handle that is offset, and it really does fit your hands better. A better gripping surface and a huge improvement. These small feet at the back that drop down and can push and hold your workpiece as you glide it through the blades of a joiner, table saw, bandsaw, router, etc. This was a massive improvement, and really has become my workhorse over the years until just recently. And I saw this in a woodworking magazine, Milescraft, who makes good products, came up with their Grabber Plus. They have a Grabber and a Grabber Plus. This one is better. Notice the offset handle, nice ergonomic handle, over molded large, and then that push edge at the bottom that is spring loaded, and that I like a lot. You can also push it up, get it out of the way if you want, but I don't see the purpose for that unless you're going to be going through the blade and cutting it, so then you can push it up. But it's nice because you can put it on your workpiece goes over that, gets a good grip, and then you can really drive it forward. Let's put these to action in all these various applications. Push blocks also come in a form such as this, where you got your two hands on something. But honestly, I would prefer to actually have two push blocks, moving them at the same time independently with your hands. I think this is probably superior to this, so basically I just don't use this, and I think most people would prefer to use two with independent control versus one, although this one is still useful and helpful, getting your hands out of the way of the cutter blade. When running a piece of rough cut lumber through your jointer to make the first flat surface, this is what you want to avoid. Look at this spiral cutter head with solid carbide inserts. That would destroy your hand if your hand would happen to slip into that, so you must protect yourself from that. When using push sticks such as these bench dogs, you're relying completely on the rubber surface getting a good grip on the wood and pushing it forward. The big advantage, the big step up that Microjig had, again, were these these little feet that would drop down, and you can push the end of the stock forward, because yes, you're getting some grip with the surface here, but these feet are guiding and pushing that stock all the way through your cut, so it won't slip. You'll have a very even, smooth cut, and that's made a huge advantage. That's why these were my favorites. Now, if we looked at the Milescraft, the Grabber Plus, again, they have a spring-loaded foot here. I've got a couple of these on here. I just bring this one back. It snaps in place back here, and it's pushing the stock forward as I'm guiding it over the cutter head, far away from injury, and also far away from the fence, which you don't want your hands dragging on this. These angled handles are very nice here, and also with the grip, with the micro jig unit too. That's very nice, keeping your hands away. And you can see the difference. You're a little bit, perhaps a little bit better position, and a nicer over molded grippy handle with this Milescraft one. Again, one of the reasons that I have really moved up to this. Let's look at some other uses. Here we are at the bandsaw, and for resawing, yes, you can just guide this with your hands, but a much better, safer method would be to use a push stick such as this, again with these feet out. One of the problems with micro jig, when you're on the side of it though, that these are gravity operated, so they can fall back, whereas that Milescraft, they're spring loaded, so they're pretty good, but they can fall off, so you have to tip it down and then bring it back, pushing that workpiece through to do a resaw. Milescraft here, it's spring loaded, so load this up. You've got that, and you can guide that all the way through your cut, hands far away, and keeping constant pressure on your fence with this, and staying away from that blade. Here at the table saw, push blocks are very nice because you can push into and down and forward, which are the three directions you need to prevent kickback. You're entirely reliant, however, on the gripping surface, the tenacity of that on these types of push blocks. When you move up to the gripper type, they have these little arms that will hold and push the stock, so we can, and the gripping part lets you have a good attachment. You're pushing down, in, and forward, and you can use that second one again really to get a good grip on that. Also with the Milescraft, similar, again, that lever is got the back edge of that workpiece, and you're pushing down into the fence and forward to make the safest cut possible. Just a quick comment on personal preference. For the table saw, I actually rarely use a push block. I use these hold downs made by Jessam. They're pushing the workpiece down and in. They're spring loaded and angled so that the stock is always pushing into the fence, minimizing your chance of kickback. And I've used these to the point where I've actually had to replace the tires on these. Small price to pay for their excellent use. This is something to consider for the table saw. Here at the router table, a push block is a great tool, particularly when you're doing a cut such as making a dovetail groove or dado. But again, you're relying on your gripping surface here to maintain that, but this works very well for this. I like these bench dogs a lot. The gripper would work as well, and again, it has these arms pushing the stock, so you're not going to ever lose control of that. And the Milescraft unit as well would be something to consider. The problem with these is that when you exit the cut, the cutter head is going to go through the end of this, so that's not such a good idea. When you're using the router table to push into a bit that's basically in parallel with the fence, all of these work beautifully to push it in and down so you have a consistent cut all the way across. So in summary, all three of these push blocks will help protect you from getting your hands injured with all these cutters in either the router table, bandsaw, table saw, or jointer. Very, very useful. These are nice actually for the router table. I tend to use these because they tend to be a little bit smaller. I can tip one to the side to push the end of the stock while I'm holding the other piece of the stock down. These have worked well for me. These Bench Dog products are very, very nice. This gripper had been my absolute standby on the joiner for a number of years. Very good gripping surface. The fact that these little feet can come down, then if you don't want to, you can actually click them up and hold them out of the way so they won't get cut by the cutter. But I think in general I tend to gravitate toward the Grabber Plus now from Milescraft because of the spring-loaded rear lever, and I think this gripping surface is a little superior to the Gripper one. The Gripper one is very good, no doubt about it, but the gripping surface on this Milescraft is very good. At least today it is. We'll see in 2 to 3 to 5 years how this holds up, but right now it's really quite good. So all three of these are really good, and you can see how push blocks have evolved over time. This is the current highest level of evolution, again with the spring-loaded front and rear foot that I think is a nice improvement, again, and a much larger over-molded handle, which is very, very comfortable. The Gripper one is good. This one is better. It's grippier and a little bit larger and really feels nice in the hand. Has some nice little bumps here that fit your fingers well. The Gripper has some openings in the bottom, it's very comfortable. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of thought that went into this. So the Gripper, the micro jig unit is actually very, very good. The Bench Dogs are really, really good and have their place in my workshop, particularly at the router table. And this newest one by Milescraft, the Grabber Plus, I think gets my #1 ranking currently with respect to push blocks. So again, thank you for watching. Again, Adventures with Dr. Joe. Please consider subscribing. Comments are very welcomed and always responded to. And until next time, thank you and take care.